In the early hours of the Battle of Kosovo in 1389, the clash between the Ottoman Empire and the Serbian-led Christian coalition escalated into a fierce confrontation. After months of preparation and strategic positioning, the field of Kosovo became the stage for one of the most pivotal battles in medieval Balkan history. The initial moments of engagement would prove both dramatic and costly for the Ottoman forces, as Serbian heavy cavalry charged with formidable momentum, testing the mettle and discipline of Sultan Murad I's army. The Serbian army, commanded by Prince Lazar, relied heavily on its armored knights. These elite cavalrymen were among the most experienced and well-equipped in the region. As the signal to attack was given, lines of mounted warriors surged forward, their lances leveled and their armor gleaming in the morning light. The sheer speed and mass of the charge created an immediate shock on the Ottoman front. For the defenders, the first impact of this heavy cavalry was both a tactical and psychological trial. The Ottoman army had been carefully arranged on the plain, with archers positioned at the forefront and along the flanks, infantry forming a solid central line, and cavalry units held in reserve. Archers, primarily foot soldiers equipped with composite bows, opened fire in disciplined volleys as the Serbian knights approached. Arrows rained down upon the charging lines, creating a deadly curtain of projectiles intended to disrupt formations and reduce the effectiveness of the assault. The air was thick with the sound of twanging bowstrings and the thundering of hooves across the plains. Despite these defensive measures, the initial Serbian assault inflicted serious damage. The force of the charge, combined with the disciplined cohesion of the knights, penetrated sections of the Ottoman front line. Infantry units were pushed back and some positions were overrun, creating pockets of vulnerability. Chroniclers of the battle describe intense melee combat at the point of contact, with soldiers wielding swords, maces, and spears in desperate resistance. The Ottoman troops, though trained and disciplined, faced the full brunt of a heavy cavalry attack, unlike many they had encountered in prior campaigns. The losses sustained by the Ottoman front line were significant. Many soldiers fell beneath the charge, while others were forced to retreat to regroup. Commanders acted swiftly to plug gaps in the formation, attempting to maintain cohesion in the face of a determined and relentless enemy. Archers continued to fire from flanks, aiming to disrupt momentum and prevent further breakthroughs. Cavalry units held in reserve were gradually committed to counter the Serbian thrust, seeking to envelop or flank the charging knights. Sultan Murad I, observing the unfolding battle, demonstrated leadership in the midst of chaos. Though his personal presence on the field was symbolic of authority, it also allowed him to direct reinforcements and issue orders in real time. The engagement revealed the complexity of medieval warfare on such a scale, with commanders forced to adapt rapidly as the dynamics of attack and defense shifted. Coordination between archers, infantry, and cavalry became critical, and Murad's experience proved vital in preventing a complete collapse of the front. The intensity of the Serbian charge highlighted the effectiveness of heavy cavalry in the period. Armored knights were capable of breaking through disciplined infantry lines if momentum and timing were applied correctly. The Ottoman defense relied heavily on combined arms tactics, but the sheer force and audacity of the Serbian attack demonstrated the vulnerabilities inherent even in well-prepared formations. Each failed advance or retreat required immediate adjustment, with reserves and secondary lines stepping in to absorb the impact. The Ottoman archers, though effective in slowing parts of the charge, could not prevent early losses. Arrows inflicted casualties but could not halt the momentum of the armored cavalry at close range. In some sectors, infantry lines buckled under the repeated strikes, creating temporary gaps that the Serbians sought to exploit. These early successes emboldened segments of the Christian forces, reinforcing morale and signaling that the Ottoman army, while formidable, was not invincible. Throughout this phase of the battle, both sides experienced high tension and rapid decision-making. Ottoman commanders worked to re-establish defensive integrity, positioning fresh units where losses had occurred, and coordinating flanking maneuvers by cavalry reserves. Archers shifted positions to maintain firing angles on advancing knights, while infantry adjusted formations to absorb impact and prevent complete disintegration. Murad's emphasis on discipline and flexibility allowed the Ottoman army to survive the early shock despite the severity of the losses. The clash also demonstrated the importance of terrain and preparation. While the Kosovo plain offered space for cavalry maneuvers, it also provided zones where archers could deploy effectively. The Ottomans had prepared for these conditions, but the Serbian charge exploited gaps in timing and positioning. The battle became a contest of endurance, skill, and adaptability, with both sides seeking advantage under conditions of intense stress. For the Ottoman army, the early setback underscored the danger posed by heavy cavalry and coordinated assaults. Losses among the frontline troops required immediate reinforcement, and the army's reserves were tested under conditions of extreme pressure. The initial success of the Serbian knights, however, did not translate into complete victory. The Ottoman command structure and strategic positioning allowed them to absorb the shock and maintain the cohesion necessary to continue fighting. Observers at the time noted the courage and determination displayed on both sides. Ottoman soldiers, despite sustaining significant casualties, resisted and counterattacked when opportunities arose. The disciplined volleys of archers, the steady stance of infantry, and the calculated deployment of cavalry exemplified the organization and strategic depth of the Ottoman military system. Similarly, the Serbian charge reflected both the bravery of individual knights and the tactical ambition of Prince Lazar's command. As the day progressed, the initial losses of the Ottoman front line became a defining element of the battle. It highlighted both the power of Serbian cavalry and the resilience of the Ottoman army. While early setbacks tested morale and exposed vulnerabilities, they also demonstrated the ability of Murad Dains and his commanders to adapt under pressure. The confrontation on the Kosovo plain was not simply a contest of numbers, but a demonstration of strategic and tactical proficiency on both sides. In retrospect, the Serbian charge on the early morning of the Battle of Kosovo was a turning point in the engagement. It set the tone for a conflict characterized by intense combat, high casualties, and the interplay of strategy and courage. For the Ottomans, the early losses emphasized the stakes and the challenges of facing a determined, heavily armored enemy. Yet the discipline, coordination, and leadership within the Ottoman army ensured that the battle remained contested, preventing a rout and setting the stage for the broader unfolding of one of the most significant confrontations of medieval Balkan history. The events of that morning would resonate for generations, symbolizing both the potency of medieval cavalry charges and the resilience of a rising imperial power. The Battle of Kosovo, beginning with the forceful Serbian charge and the resulting Ottoman losses, became an enduring testament to strategy, valor, and the high cost of military ambition.